Jalen Jacoby is presented by Samuel Adams.
He is Jalen Rose, I'm David Jacoby, and we are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people!
Whoa! Whoa! What, Jalen? You okay, buddy? I think we're gonna lose Jalen.
They won.
So fired up on Monday, as you can tell, because we have the Cowboys collapsing. We have the return of touchdown Tom Brady, but we start with the NBA Finals Game 3. We knew with Goran and Bam out, it was going to take a special performance from Jimmy Butler to get a game in this final series. That's exactly what they got, a 40-point triple-double. Jalen, what do you think about this performance from Jimmy Butler?
I think I want to call an archaeologist and all of those great NBA performers and all of the people who value old school basketball. Introduce you to Jimmy Butler. It was so very refreshing, Jacoby, to watch a player score 40 points and not even make a three. Not even have a highlight. Just will his team to victory. Like, we hear that so very often when you don't have Goran Dragic, who led you in scoring when you won the East, when you don't have Bam Adebayo and you're going against LeBron, AD, and Dwight up front, and you still find a way to lock down LeBron James and create 6 turnovers when you're guarding him, have a triple-double, and win a game? Like, this was a phenomenal victory by the Miami Heat. This is exactly why they deserve to be in the NBA Finals. They're not more talented than the Sixers or the Celtics. They're not as good as the Bucks. But you know what they have? An identity. And it starts with Pat Riley to Eric Spoelstra, and it filters down to the roster in Jimmy Butler. It was so very refreshing to watch a team that has no business winning NBA Finals games without the 2 people that I mentioned, find ways to still get it done on the big stage after trailing 0-2. So very refreshing.
The only Finals 40-point triple-double in a win we saw last night, but those weren't the only numbers that were so impressive for Jimmy Butler. When you take a look at some of the other things that he did, you mentioned when he was covering LeBron James, he forced 6 turnovers. And look at what he did. He created 33 points off of his passes, 9 for 15 on contested field goals. Really impressive performance from Jimmy Butler. But we do have to take a look at the other side of the ball, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers and their performance. What did you see from them that they need to change for Game 4?
What I saw is the difference between Anthony Davis being a top 5 player versus a top 10 player. Which is outstanding, by the way. Still all NBA first team. See, when you're playing in New Orleans and you're the best player on the squad, and it's a game that you're going to have 1 or 2 rebounds, or it's a game that you're going to have as many fouls as buckets or turnovers, you normally lose those games and lose those series. But when you join LeBron James in Los Angeles, it's just 1 game lost in a series. So it continued to validate for me, while superstar players, if you've got a chance to play with one, you're lucky because you have a championship ring. That's what's going to happen to Anthony Davis this year. And there were people that was like, oh, I wonder who's going to win Finals MVP. We know who's winning Finals MVP.
Well, now we know.
That's going to be LeBron James. And as I crown the king, there are only 2 other players. They have 4 MVPs and 4 championships. And the other 2 I have ahead of LeBron James on my Mount Rushmore. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell. He's joining exclusive company when they win it this year.
Yes, he is. And even though Anthony Davis has so many 30-point performances in these playoffs, everyone keeps asking for him to be more aggressive, be more aggressive, be more aggressive. And you saw it last night. It was the foul troubles that threw him off the rhythm, but he took 3 shots in the paint. Again, you're Anthony Davis. You're a top 5, top 10 player in the league. You are almost 7 feet tall. You have to take more than 3 shots near the rim, especially when their rim protectors are Myers Leonard and Kelly Olynyk. I expect to see a lot more from him in Game 4. Jalen, I want to ask you this quickly. Is this convincing you that we now have a competitive series, or is this convincing you that it will go 5 instead of 4?
The Miami Heat's toughness didn't surprise me that they were going to win a game, regardless of who was in uniform. But Anthony Davis, as I just recall, made a game-winning three-point shot at some point during this series. You just said it had multiple 30-point games and 10-rebound games during this series. He responds, the Lakers respond. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers go up 3-1 and then the Heat win another game, but I still feel like it's going to be Lakers in 6.
I still feel like it is Lakers in 5. And one of the things that they had so much trouble with last night was turnovers. What Miami did is kind of like they went away from the zone and they went man-to-man, they packed the paint, and the Lakers didn't really know how to respond. They had so many turnovers, 5 for Davis, but also 8 for LeBron James, 13 total just from their 2 best players. It was a bit of a mess on that end. How do you think they clean up the offense?
See, we're not going deeper into the box score today. Don't talk to me about Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Danny Green. Don't talk to me about the role players today. Don't even talk to me about playoff Rondo. We only bring that up when they win. Talk to me about LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They had 13 turnovers. That was the catalyst for giving the Miami Heat confidence and kept them in the game in the first half. Even though Miami had the lead, the Lakers were right there and they were really struggling. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Butler continued to play very well in the second half to propel his team.
Just want to mention Markieff Morris, who did have a great game. And you mentioned something that was important. The Lakers played terribly. And Anthony Davis played really bad. He was in foul trouble the whole time. And the Lakers also had a lead in the fourth quarter, which is why I have Lakers in 5 and LeBron James is my finals MVP. And we'll see what happens in the next game on Tuesday night. But Jalen, we had a big weekend of NFL football. And the highlighted game was the Browns' big win over the Cowboys. And Jalen, all morning I've been watching ESPN and all I hear about is how bad the Cowboys defense is. But you noticed something from the other side of the ball that you wanted to point out. What is that?
So football is a salary cap sport. And before I say what I'm about to say, I don't want people to feel like I'm half crazy, even though I've been accused of such. I believe the Dallas Cowboys have put themselves into a position that the only way they can actually rebuild their defense, in particular their secondary, is to trade Ezekiel Elliott.
Explain.
Here's what they did. Here's what they did that they didn't realize. I said it on this show. If you watch Jalen Jacoby, you found out who was going to be the next Dallas Cowboys coach on this program. When you hire Mike McCarthy, when you pay all of the people you did defensively, when you pay Amari Cooper and you draft CeeDee Lamb, you know what you're actually doing? You're making it Dak Prescott's offense. That's exactly what you're doing. You're getting away from your 3-down bell cow running back. And so now all of a sudden, I'm looking up at the scoreboard. There's lottery numbers happening, Jacoby. They're giving up 40-plus, 30-plus every game. And you know what Zeke is doing? Not getting 100 yards rushing. And now all of a sudden, the way their roster is constructed, they need a running back that's inexpensive. Not one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. And I know Zeke is a fantastic running back, and all teams that are in need will welcome him to their roster. But based on the way the Dallas Cowboys have constructed their team and paying their defense, paying Amari $100 million, and drafting CeeDee Lamb, plus Dak is on a franchise tag, the only way you can change your team is to trade Ezekiel Elliott. I anticipate over the next year or two that that's actually going to take place.
Jalen, 2 things. Number 1, that does make a lot of sense. Number 2, regardless of that making sense, you are half crazy. Now, that might be an issue. They may have to trade Ezekiel Elliott, but they also have to do something about their defense, which was terrible yesterday. And here's what DeMarcus Lawrence said about it after the game in a Gucci do-rag.
I'll call it soft. We got to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We got to play together as one. And I don't feel like we're holding ourselves accountable, including myself. So I call the shit soft, and we'll get better from it.
Well, you heard the words. He said they were soft, but look at the numbers. Opponents' yards per game, 30th. Opponents' yards per rush, 31st. Points allowed, worst in the NFL. Jalen, seems like they would have to do something drastic like trade Ezekiel Elliott to turn this around. What did you see from the Cowboys defense?
Come on, Lawrence. You got to represent Aunt Jemima better than that. Y'all can't be having the worst defense, and then you come into the post-game conference looking like the syrup bottle. Come on now. Y'all got to get it done, defense. They wrote some big checks on that side of the football, Jacoby, and their secondary is awful. Like, I normally, you notice I don't use terms like superstar or awful very often. That's what I'm saying about the Dallas Cowboys defense. And so as you reevaluate what they did this offseason, again, they have made this Dak Prescott's team without even signing him to a long-term deal. Without even signing, Jacoby, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Who's the only Dallas Cowboy that's performing well this year?
Dak Prescott, sir.
Exactly. Because when you look up at the scoreboard and you down 1, 2, 3 touchdowns, guess what you got to do? You got to pass. And you got CeeDee Lamb, and you got Schultz now become a new weapon as a tight end. Like, they got all of these offensive toys. You know what he's not doing? Turning around and handing it off to the tattoo belly of Ezekiel Elliott. They're not doing that. They have gotten away from that. And the only way to rebuild the construction of their roster would be to not have one of the highest paid running backs in the league. I anticipate that's going to be the move that they have to execute in order to turn their fortunes around at some point.
Makes a lot of sense. I think Mike McCarthy saw that tattoo that says "Feed me" on his Elliott's stomach and said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to feed Dak Prescott. Dak has been great through the air. Jalen, it is time for you and I to break down some video in great detail. And for that,
Dak had a bad interception late.
Jalen, watch this crazy touchdown from Brandon Ayuk. I absolutely love it every time that a player goes to jump over another player. It is both really, really amazing and athletic and also terrifying at the same time. Do you support leaping defenders in the NFL?
I support it, but every now and then you're going to get caught. And big shout to Jalen Ramsey. I love seeing him and Golden Tate get wrapped up the way he did. That kind of reminded me of that. But here's the thing, Jacoby. As somebody that played football as a youth, clearly wasn't able to play in high school, it highlights something that takes place when you're on the field that a lot of people don't realize. When you're running as fast as you can to hit someone as hard as you can, you know what you do before impact takes place usually? You close your eyes. You close your eyes. That's what this is exposing, is that before you go to make that impact, you close your eyes. And so the offensive player is like a used car. The less hits you take, the better on the body. So if I can jump and just avoid one big hit, it's worth it to me. But every now and then, you're going to do that jump. You're going to do that leap. And somebody else is going to come from the side and swipe you. In that case, yesterday, it did not take place, so it was an amazing, terrific, wonderful touchdown by Brandon.
We have so much more from this weekend in the NFL and other places in sports to get to, so stay tuned. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, it's time for you to decide what we discuss. It's Keep It Moving.
Wu-Tang! Wu-Tang!
If you want to discuss topics and hit the brakes, if not, me and Method Man will keep it moving. And we start with the return of Touchdown Tom in Tampa. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
It's just funny when he started off struggling and threw a pick six, everybody was talking about his demise, and he threw 5 touchdowns and they won. Keep it moving.
I was doing exactly that.
We keep it moving.
Russell Wilson continues to tear up opposing defenses. Keep it moving or
hit the brakes.
Russell Wilson keeps cooking. They are now 4-0, and he has thrown 16 touchdown passes for the Seahawks.
Does it fascinate you that a guy that has led his team to the Super Bowl twice, winning one, and has been an elite dual threat quarterback since he got into the NFL, has never garnered an MVP vote? How about that? Has never garnered an MVP vote. That's going to change this year.
Jalen, I don't know if you saw, but the Lions played football this weekend. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
You know what? Hit the brakes, dog.
Okay. The Lions played the Saints, and if you are Drew Brees and you want to get back on top, all you have to do is play the Lions, because he lit them up. And it almost looked like the Lions were going to threaten to win this one early, but they, again, completely collapsed. Their sixth double-digit lead that they've lost in a row. Jalen, what is next for your Detroit Lions?
You know, I'm die hard. Detroit stand up, what up, though, versus everybody. And I never do this. But I need a second to cook on my hometown team, dog. I never do this. So, before last week, we had lost 11 in a row. You just said that we lost 6 straight games by 10-plus points. We hire a defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia after we were 9-7 with Jim Caldwell. Since he's become our coach, we're 10-25-1. 10-25-1. So
6 straight double-digit
you hire a
leads
defensive
lost.
coordinator, which means that, okay, we're going to lock down defensively. We got Slay over here. He all pro. Let him walk. And then draft the quarterback. Why not keep both? Why not keep both? Here's another thing. We draft 2 running backs within the last couple of years. And Adrian Peterson all day is a legend. But there's no way he should be getting the most touches for a running back out of our backfield at this point of his career, when we just drafted 2 running backs. Like that philosophy just doesn't go with one another. And then lastly, what did I say we should have did in this year's draft? What did I say we should have did in this year's draft? What did I say? Take Tua. Take Tua. Take Tua. It ain't that I don't like Matthew Stafford. I want Matthew Stafford to be freed. I want him to have a chance to go play in a winning situation and possibly have his numbers catapult him to the Hall of Fame. We don't draft the quarterback. So now all of a sudden, we got one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league.
For your own,
and
for
we
your
ain't
own
even going
mental
to the
health, we have to
playoffs.
keep it moving. For your own mental health, we have to keep it moving. Lamar Jackson ran all over the football team, called the football team, keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Andrews, 2 touchdowns, keep it moving.
Okay.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
A little off-field personal beef between 2 players on the Giants and the Rams spilled on the field. Keep moving or hit the brakes. Well, Jalen, I think you know what I'm talking about. What do you think led to this little scuffle off the field between Golden Tate and Jalen Ramsey?
Well, first off, is that Jalen Rose is just that. Jalen Ramsey is just that dog, that animal out there. And once you give Jalen his bread, then you can't tell him nothing. Now you can't tell him nothing. So now all the personal beefs, all the people that want to clap back, he handling it. And you know what I like about Ramsey? Here's what I like about Ramsey.
What's up?
A physical corner. A physical corner. Not just a cover corner, a physical corner. I like that a lot.
Jalen, we have one of the biggest games in the NFL's entire schedule tonight, but it wasn't supposed to be tonight due to the coronavirus. We will break that down and much more. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby. Thank you for tuning in to Jalen and Jacoby on television, but the experience doesn't stop there. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast because we always have exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, like this interview, ASAP Ferg.
Hey, yo,
Floor seats too.
When we're able to go back to the game, we all sit in floor seats on Jalen's dime. On Jalen's dime.
Done.
And look,
I can make it happen.
We all gonna sit together, and we all gonna sip some Hennessy, and we gonna get turned up.
Done.
And we all gonna join the game. That's what we gonna do.
Done. Except the end.
You can listen to that interview with ASAP Ferg right now on our podcast feed. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, coming to you live from Pier 17 at the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Jalen, there's a game between the Chiefs and the Patriots tonight instead of yesterday because star quarterback Cam Newton tested positive for the coronavirus. It feels like this entire NFL experience is like a boat. And there was a big hole in the boat because some of the Titans tested positive and they plugged that up by postponing the game. And there's another hole in the boat because Cam Newton tested positive, so they moved that game one day. I'm concerned that eventually there will be a hole in the boat so big that it will sink the boat and we may not have an NFL season. Can you foresee that happening?
I do not foresee the NFL not completing its season. They're going to find a way to get to a champion. Unlike the NBA, who chose to do a bubble, these outbreaks are going to take place. I'm just upset for Cam because this was a big stage opportunity for him to continue to catapult himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the game. As somebody that was a free agent looking for a job in July and established himself as a dual threat with the Patriots, I wanted to see him go against Mahomes.
We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN at 2 p.m. Enjoy the games this evening.
Thank you. You are far too kind.